Seaman for my Entrepreneurship 201 interview. I decided to interview Jim Leonard. Jim, thanks for sitting down with me.
You're very well.
So I kind of wanted to start and kind of learn a little bit more about you and your background and kind of your education to how you got your start in your career.
I grew up in Rochester, New York, one of 7 children. All of us went to 4 years of college, which was a nice feat in our family because my mom and dad didn't go to college, which was somewhat generational. So college and education was a very important thing, and you were expected to go to a good school and do well and graduate in 4 years and go get a good job.
Sure.
So there were high expectations. I went to the University of Notre Dame. I graduated in 1983 with a degree in finance. After college, I was able to sit for the CPA exam. Moved to Cleveland, switched over to Deloitte Haskins and Sells, which is now part of Deloitte and Touche. Spent 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years there. And
So one other thing, when at Deloitte, what specific industries or clients? I know you started in commercial real estate there, but so that's kind of how you got your start in mortgage banking.
at Deloitte, I was in the tax department, and I did tax returns for corporations and individuals, and did tax planning for some wealthy individuals. But along the way, as happenstance would have it, I got asked to be involved with a couple of commercial real estate clients. And again, I was 2 years out of college, so I was the little grunt on the team, if you will. So folks that were buying real estate and bringing in investors, known as syndications back.
Going off from when you started, what was your biggest risk that you faced within your career? Was it going out and starting your own thing, and then maybe contrasting with that, what is your greatest satisfaction then?
Well, my business is not a capital intensive business. I didn't have to buy $3 million worth of inventory or build a plant. I would say the biggest risk for me was did we have the right intelligence, and did we know enough about our product, which is to say my job is to find a borrower and find a lender, and I put them together, just like
Sure.
for commercial real estate deals, just like a broker does for houses, a buyer
Sure.
and a seller. So the biggest risk was I good enough? Were we smart enough? Did we know enough about the industry to actually get people to want to pick up the phone when we called them and say, yes, we'll give you a shot at our business? That's probably the biggest risk.
Sure. Close off on what kind of advice would you have for aspiring college students looking to go in to start their own business or to become an entrepreneur? Maybe words of wisdom.
Is a lifestyle choice. Now, my dad is, even though he wasn't college educated, had a very successful business literally in our backyard. He sold arts and crafts. He was a wholesale arts and crafts distributor, selling to mom and pop craft stores up and down the East Coast of the United States. But to me, being an entrepreneur and owning your own business was really like a lifestyle choice. I mean, I saw him always at it's great to be the boss. It's great to be in charge of your own destiny, and if you can get through the risk and make it work, it's very rewarding from that standpoint. But what I, to this day, like the most about it is I don't take a lot of vacation, but you know what? I've never not been in my kids' 4 o'clock baseball game. And I still work on Saturdays and Sundays or late, but you know what? I can be flexible. So
Sure.
I like that part the most. But I think my advice to people is, if you think you have an urge to go do something, do it earlier than later. I mean, this world, even more so than 25 years ago, I think it's really easy and it's more acceptable for 22 and 23 and 25-year-old people to start companies. I mean, look at Facebook. Look at all the different companies out
Sure.
there. I think it's easier than ever to start something and be successful it doesn't make any difference if you're 25 or 45. If you got a good idea and you're a hard worker, you can be very successful.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mr. Leonard.
You're very welcome.
There were several key things I learned from my interview with Mr. Leonard. First is to really learn from your influences. His father was a wholesaler of arts and crafts, and he owned his own company, which allowed him to put 7 kids through college. He learned not only how to run a business, but saw the risks of going out on his own. I appreciate Mr. Leonard's strong emphasis on education and also earning a professional certification. This allowed him to, with great ambition, allowed him to take the risk of starting his own mortgage banking firm. His insight has been extremely valuable, especially as I plan to take the CPA exam and would consider becoming an entrepreneur. Jim emphasized the importance of starting sooner rather than later. He continues to develop business, as he commonly says, once you're comfortable, keep working. He spends hours on his day trying to develop new business, and I really find admirable. His key message states that if you combine a great idea with intelligence and perseverance, you can have a great career with many opportunities.